Move away from that now, as the National Executive Committee of the People's Democratic Party has called upon President Bola Tinubu to undertake an immediate overhaul of his economic team, citing urgent measures needed to salvage the nation's economy. The demand was articulated in a communique issued following the conclusion of the 98th NEC meeting held in Abuja. The PDP emphasized the critical need for President Tinubu to appoint individuals of impeccable integrity and proven competency, devoid of biases or vested interests, to aid in the revitalization of the economy. Furthermore, the party expressed concerns over existing policies and programs that are perceived to stifle economic growth, worsen the hardships faced by citizens. And in addition to economic reforms, the NEC urged President Tinubu to swiftly convey a special National Security Council meeting to address the escalating insecurity plaguing the nation. And still with PDP, the National Executive Committee of the People's Democratic Party has tasked party faithfuls to unite and work towards the success of the party for the benefit of Nigerians. Now, members of the NEC, while acknowledging the rift among aggrieved members, which has acted as a setback to the party, say there is a need to put past grievances aside. Idong Joseph reports.
The much-awaited National Executive Council meeting of Nigeria's People's Democratic Party has just been concluded in Abuja. While it was hoped that the meeting will address the leadership crisis that has rocked the party since the party's primary election, the issue was not given relevance, as key stakeholders called for effort to unite the party.
It is imperative that we set aside personal differences and work together in the spirit of fraternity and solidarity to find common ground.
There is also need to constitute a reconciliation committee to unite our aggrieved members, especially those that fell out during the last primaries and also election. It is better late than never.
After a closed-door session which lasted about 30 minutes, with all 353 members present, the party approved the constitution of a reconciliation committee to help ensure the stability of the party. It also approved the date for conducting congresses nationwide.
The timetable for primaries and schedule of activities between the months of June and August 2024. The NEC approved the reconstitution of the disciplinary and reconciliation committees of the party.
The NEC also urged the current government to find lasting solutions to the insecurity challenges and address the escalating hardship on citizens.
NEC, after due consideration, demand that President Bola Tinubu should urgently convene a special National Security Council meeting to provide a holistic solution and measures to curb the disturbing insecurity. NEC further demands that the federal government should review all policies and programs which are stifling the economy and suffocating effect on the lives of citizens.
The 98th National Executive Council meeting was attended by two former vice presidents of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar and Namadi Sambo, present and past governors of the party, and principal officers of the National Assembly, among others. It is hoped that the outcome of this meeting positions the party as a much-needed viable opposition in future. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
And now to discuss this further, I'm being joined by political analyst Dr. Femi Amele. Doctor, Femi, it's good to have you join me. Thank you so much for coming on. Let's get started, shall we? Now, with the just concluded NEC meeting, what is your take on the chances of the acting national chairman, and that's Umar Damagum, retaining his position?
I think there's no immediate challenge to him retaining his position. Some of the differences that they do have within their party or within the PDP has far gone beyond remover, retain formats. We've seen them do that in the last 4 or 5 years, either do it through the court process or challenge the process or remove somebody. And that formula doesn't essentially, has not brought them forward than they've always argued beyond that now. So I think to a large extent, there are other fracas, there are other areas below the chairmanship position that may need to be settled or appear to be settled, or peacemaking that would need to go in there before that. But I essentially think it would retain a seat. It is wise for the party to put up that perception that, oh, well, at the topmost role, which is the national chairman, that role and the person leading that role has retained that. However, while it still retains his chairmanship position, if they choose to do so, it may need to convey and possibly represent more than one idea which he has possibly been representing. Some say is very closely associated with the likes of the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, and some few other people even within the G5. So he may want to play out his game to provide a wider scope, take a little bit of ideas from the people who are challenging his chairmanship, and also take from some of those supporting that. That's one way you can retain his role. Outside of that, it's going to be difficult. And if they do choose to not retain him or not leave him in that role, there'll be much to debate about the future of the PDP, because most Nigerians will see more reasons to take them less serious, not even as a party, but as a credible opposition to the ruling APC.
So the party constitution emphasizes regional balance. This we are certain. I mean, even when you look at the country's constitution in of itself. But how do you see the argument for a North Central chairman being weighed against this current chairman's performance?
So one of the key things I find fascinating about that, in an election year, it becomes quite active to be very reflective, very detailed, as regards what the party's constitution is. Many of you would recall that during the primaries or build up to the primaries, and you had where's the presidential candidate from the emerged presidential candidate, which was Atiku Abubakar. Where is he from? Where is the party chairman from? But in this sense, at this point, there is no immediate election campaign with regards to that. So you don't want to use that as a parameter to have that going on. Secondly, I think if they do hold on the ground, one of the smart things to do will be to push it far long into when the next election year is coming on. Is that how you do it before the next election year, 2 years before the election year, or you peradventure allow him retain the role and allow him to find neutrality, if I would say, in gathering as many people to support his viewpoint. Outside of that, it becomes a really, really fundamental challenge. So it's not so much about where you come from now, it's how much of the other people within the party, their demands, their sins, and you accommodate and represent that and provide some sense of neutrality or accommodation to their views. And that could really be a way of escape. Outside of that, it's going to be a tough one.
Do you believe that the 60 House of Representatives members that are calling for the chairman's removal present or represent a significant force within the party?
Oh, yes, they do. And one of the things you want to understand is that it's one thing to be a politician where you're seeking a role and you're going on actively, but it's another thing to be an elected politician. What makes the difference between a politician and an elected politician is the opportunities, the sway, the influence, the connections that you're able to undertake. So an elected politician, for example, may not necessarily, and these are the House of Reps, representatives and honorables I'll be speaking of, I'll be saying that they may not necessarily look like they have their ideas figured out, but it doesn't mean that they don't have a bigger figure trying to influence what they do or do not do. Power that comes with whosoever is influencing them. Let's say, peradventure, they are connected with the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, brings on the very interesting perspective of how much connection, how much way power does somebody like Wike command, both within the PDP and the current ruling party, and its connections around that. And then you have the other governors, those who are former, those who have new roles, the G5 guys as well. How much power are they able to immediately offer up to the elected politicians? So they do command a substantial role. So it's not so much as about where are they from, who do they represent, and the limits of the elected power. It is so much so about how much do they connect with some of the other people who have a different view. So if the acting chairman wanted to, or peradventure is thinking of retaining his role, You may want to explore conversations with them, understand who is playing the piper, or should I say the tune. By the way, who even made piper, the pipe that is being played in the very first place. Those are fundamental things you can't shy away from. Shying away from them only means that you're not going, you're sizing what you think may be the power of the elected representatives. Obviously, their connections, their way, their influence far goes beyond that. And that's something you have to be wary of in politics.
Well, let's look to the party. All eyes on the party. I mean, the elections in Ondo, the gubernatorial elections are coming up September 21st. Do they stand a chance with their flag bearers? Only time will tell. Femi, many thanks for coming on. I appreciate you for doing this with us. And that.